In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a fast and easy scrap quilt. This tutorial is perfect for a charm pack and some background fabric. I'm Katie of Modern Textiles, and I love all things sewing, specifically modern quilts and long arm quilting. So I have my stripology ruler ready and set to go. I'm just going to go ahead and line it up. If you watched my previous video, you had already seen the tutorial on how to use this with your rotary tool and how easy it is to make things move quickly when you're cutting strips of your quilt fabric out. I'm actually going to move this over a little bit just so I don't have to move it again. So in this tutorial, like I said, you'll just need to have, grab off screen here. You'll just need to have a charm pack. I actually had a bunch of scraps. I'm making more of a monochromatic quilt here this time. Just a charm pack, as in the pre-cuts explained, are just 5-inch square cuts. So if you've got a bunch of scrap fabric, feel free to showcase your scraps in this quilt. And then I have scrap leftover wide back that I'm using for my background fabric. It's going to be speckled from Ruby Star Society. And really, I think with it being this lighter gray and having all these darker fabrics from, I believe this is Libs Elliott over at Andover, I think it's going to be a really fun monochromatic themed quilt that you can't go wrong with. Got my charm pack, if you will, my borders, sashing, and then the spacers between my charm pack. So I have my charm pack laid off to one side, and then I have all of my 2.5-inch by 5-inch sashing pieces off under my machine here. We're going to go ahead and just chain piece all those together. Just so you know, you will have 42 charms, and then you'll have 35. So there will be some of your charms will not have a sashing attached to them. And once you download the PDF, you'll see a full outline of what everything's supposed to look like row by row. Just so if you're wondering, I do have a magnetic seam gauge attached to my machine here, and that way it just allows for me to sew much quicker, and that way I can, not think so much about that perfect seam because it just automatically happens. It's like bowling with bumpers, right? Super easy, makes it a little bit more enjoyable just to sew and listen to an audiobook or maybe a good playlist. Matched. I'm going to go ahead and lay out. So we're going to go 6 across, and then that way I kind of keep the same layout I had previously. We're just going to lay them out right here. I'll put these aside. That one, I will come back to those. So 6. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we only have 5, so we need to then add in one of these guys. So I'm just going to put this stack right here. But then, all right, so I'm going to take these two. I'm just going to scoot these over so they don't get into the way. And then I'm just going to go ahead and web this all together. So webbing just means essentially you'll have I don't want to say a quilt top because we will trim it and add borders, but essentially I'll connect all of these patches together, and then I'll cut all of the rows apart, and then we'll add in our sashing in between each row. All right, so this would be what you would call webbing. Having all of your pieces together. The nice thing is, one, I hate to say saving thread, but you don't have to keep rethreading your machine or worried about any type of snarls on the back of your piecing, especially when you do it like this. Now I'll go ahead and I'll trim each of the threads, so that way I'm left with just my rows. I'll then go ahead and add my sashing and then borders at the very end. I am not one to press as I go if I don't have to. So with this quilt, I'm just going to be keeping all my seams in one direction. I'm not a big fan of pressing my seams open. Sue me. But I'm all about getting things done is better than perfection. This quilt is hard to have any problems with. It's a beginner-friendly quilt. It's meant to go by quickly, kind of like a little refresher quilt, if you will. Between harder projects. So really, you won't see me going back and forth between my ironing board very often, unless there's a lot of piecing where I know I may have some bulk at certain points. Say if 4 half square triangles met up at one point, I'll probably try to press those and finagle them so they lay a bit flatter. So that way during the quilting process, it's not a big headache. But when it comes to simple patchwork, I tend to just fly by the seat of my pants. So once I've got that first one on here, I'm going to go grab my second row. And here's one thing, this is a little quick tip. Whenever you're dealing with not matching seams, just to get a little bit nicer look or try to get a better idea of lining up those sashings, is I always try to find, you know, the middle ground. I'll line the sashings up a little bit, and I'll go to, say, the third one in. That's the center of our row here. And what I do is I just fold back. As you can see, I'm trying to line up the top sashing with the bottom one. And as long as you are somewhat close, then I'll just hit it with a seam or a pin quick. And then that way, you know, so I'm going to go to the end here and pin my end. I don't go bananas on pinning. It's not really something I like to do, but I do just want to make sure my rows are close to being the same length. Okay. And then that way, when it comes to putting your borders on, you're not going to have like crazy rows that are super short by 1/2 inch, or a row that's, you know, longer than the others by 1/4 inch. Well, 1/4 inch isn't that big of a deal. You can ease that in, right? You'll hear me say that a lot. You can ease that in. It'll quilt out. No big deal. But the big thing is trying to get that center point and your 2 end points, and that way things should be close enough where when you're doing something like this type of quilt, just have fun. Sewing's about having fun. It's not about being stressed out for perfection. As a recovering perfectionist, that's my big deal. Is this is my hobby. I like to have fun. Yes, I'm going to do quality work, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one that's going to notice anything that's way off or minorly off, and the quilts are going to be used. Once it's on that couch, been washed 2-3 times, I'm not even going to remember that mistake. As long as my seams are holding, life's good. Here we've got our center piecing complete. The back looks great even without me even intentionally making that work. We're going to go ahead and now add a border to the top here and then to the bottom, and then we're going to go ahead and piece our borders to make a long strip, and we'll go down each of the sides, and then we're done. All right, so the first 2 borders are on. I'm going to go ahead and just trim off these tails here, and then I'll go ahead and sew 2 strips together, 2 times over, so I've got 2 longer strips, and then that way I'll attach the 2 sides and then trim those, and then we're done. All right, and just like that, we've got our confetti quilt, which is made out of a charm pack and some background fabric. I look forward to seeing you on the next video where we learn how to make a fat 1/8 throw quilt, also known as the collection quilt.